Hello people from all over the world, welcome to channel Analyzing the World.
In this video the subject matter will be Brazilian country music. Before going to the story, a warning: I will not try to differentiate hillbilly backcountry, so let's start by its history. The Brazilian country music is a musical genre produced from the 1910s by composers rural and urban, called generically other fashions, tangled, and Portuguese fado, whose sound viola is predominant. Initially this style of music was propagated by a series of pairs, with the use of guitars and duet vocals. This tradition continues until the present day, with the pair usually characterized by singers with voice tenor, more acute, nasal and sharp use of a typical falsetto, while the vocal style has remained relatively stable over the decades. Rhythm, instrumentation and melodic contour gradually incorporated elements of genres disseminated by the culture industry. Currently, the Brazilian country music is divided into 4 phases, each with its peculiarities. The first stage came in 1929 when it appeared, the first recorded country music album, edited and sponsored by the journalist and writer Cornelius Pires Pocket. The album was a great success and within days had run out in the stores. Their songs were a mix of stories, traditional folk with fragments of rural traditional songs in the interior of southern and Triangle Minors, Goiás and Mato Grosso southeast. At the time these pioneering recordings, the genre was known as hillbilly music, whose lyrics evoke the way of life of the inner man, often in opposition to man's life in the city, as well as the bucolic beauty and romantic inland landscape. Currently, this type of composition is classified as country music from scratch, with the letters emphasized in daily life and in the way of singing. The second phase began after World War II with the incorporation of new styles as Europera polka, instruments like accordion and harp. The theme will gradually becoming more loving, saving, however, an autobiographical character. The pair that stood out was Millionaire and José Rico, that modernized the backcountry and systematized the use of elements of traditional Mexican mariachi, violin and trumpet flourishes to fill spaces between sentences and glottis blows that produce a sobbing voice quality. The introduction of the electric guitar and the so-called young bass, the double Acuto lefty and Robertino at the end of the 1960s, marked the beginning of the third phase of country music. One of the members of the musical movement Young Guard, the singer Sergio Reis, began recording in the 1970s traditional country music repertoire in order to contribute to the wider penetration genre. Renato Teixeira was another artist to highlight that point. In that period, the performance of the local country music were originally the circus, some rodeos and especially radio. Early as the 1980s, this penetration extended to FM radio as well as television, whether in morning weekly programs Sunday or on soundtracks, novel or special programs. During the 80s there was a commercially massive swing, plus, in certain cases, to a reinterpretation of international hits and even the Young Guard. This new romantic trend of country music emerged many artists, often in pairs. There was a growing influence of American country music and cowboy aesthetic characteristics observed in their garments, and also the greatest interest in rodeo festivals and agricultural fairs. Stages for new singers. Against this more commercial trend of country music, they reappeared names like the double Peña Branca and Savantino, adapting successes of the MPB to the language of violas. And appeared new artists as Elmir Sater, sophisticated guitar player, who was walking between the fashions of guitar and the blues. In the following decade, a new generation of artists came into the backcountry willing to reconnect the hillbillies' traditions, as Roberto Correa, Ivan Viola, and Milton Edilberto. The fourth and final phase of Brazilian country music began in the early 2000s and is currently the most popular. Also known as a university backcountry, is known by several additions of instruments, rhythms and even mixes with international pop music. Its popularity is due in largely by interested recording industries into a new dance style without many international influences to create a new international market style. But the question is it worth listening to this musical style? The answer is yes to the first phase, yes to the second stage, yes to the third stage, and not for the fourth phase. The Brazilian country music was created based on the countryman and his life on the farm. Until the third stage this issue was addressed, but from the fourth phase the only sung things are parties, women and drink. The country music can be upgood and fun, but when a musical style does not live up to its origins, the music has no value. Some trivia about this style. The first country music group record is dated 1924, created by Cornelius Pires, called the Class Grit. Cornelius Pires, formed by guitarists as youngest and Sorocabana, and some others as important at the time. In 1939 the duo Raul Torres and Serena innovated by introducing the country music, the guitar. In the 30s arises undoubtedly one of the most important hinterland double of all time, Alvarenga and Ranchino, that besides all were very cheerful and funny. So much relaxation, were arrested by the government of Getulio Vargas. The best-known song of the backcountry is I Say You Te Pego. Michel Tello has over 650 million views on YouTube. Its world fame began when the player Cristiano Ronaldo danced his music after he scored a goal in the Champions League. The pair Millionaire and José Rico is considered the most important of the Brazilian country. The vast majority of the songs of the third phase of the backcountry are based on his compositions.
If you liked the video, sign up and smash the like. I hug and see you soon.